You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Andy Smith.
And I'm Tim Fulton.
And this is Fight Recap.
Ooh, it's been a while since you've said those words.
Holy shit, man. I'm fucking pumped up that the UFC is finally back.
Dude, up until like 7 o'clock that night, I still was like in disbelief it was actually going to happen.
Yeah, I was, it was weird. Like I couldn't get excited. I was so disappointed last time. I couldn't get excited for it almost. It was strange.
I was in the exact same boat. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But it went off without a hitch. It went fairly well.
Well, it did. It almost went off without a hitch before 2 days ago when Jacare tested positive for COVID and had to get pulled off the card.
Yeah, that sucks. Knock on wood. I'm sure he's going to be fine.
Yeah, they said they're all asymptomatic, him and his cornerman right now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess they can test how much of it is actually in your blood too, and they said it was super duper low. I don't know.
Maybe he had it for a while now, and they just caught it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know when they tested him.
You're saying it, and it's on the internet now, so it's a fact. So that is definitely what happened.
That's what we're going with. Well, why don't we just write our own narrative?
I heard he created the virus, and that's why he tested positive.
You know what? I heard that just now. I heard it just now. Okay. So first up, I want to talk about Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. Luque is one of those dudes that every time he fights, we get excited because he's just an exciting fucking fighter. But he went against Nico Price, who both guys are like, they're not quite at like anywhere near superstar status right now, but for the guys that watch the UFC all the time, they're definitely fan favorites. So it was a crazy fight, but Nico Price got his eyes swollen shut and had the doctor step in and stop the fight in the third round. So what did you think about that fight?
Dude, it was fucking brutal. But it was a good one. I think this was the first match that like I actually caught like 100% one. Like
same here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Same here. That was the first fight on the early prelims.
Yeah.
Or on the prelims. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think it was originally supposed to, before they had to cancel the one match, it originally was going to be the early prelims. It was going to be the final match for that. They got bumped up. But either way, it was the first one I caught. It was a great way to start it off. Vicente, however you pronounce his name, dude is a fucking killer. Like, just watching him perform, it made me smile. I miss UFC so much.
Yeah. It was definitely cool. It sucked that his eye got swollen shut like that, but it was definitely a good stoppage because he couldn't see shit.
Oh, no.
I mean, he couldn't see anything out of that eye. All right, so let's get into the main ones that we talked about on the previous podcast, the breakdowns. So
let's do it.
We had Alexei Oleinik versus Fabricio Verdum. Okay, so this one was interesting to me because Fabricio didn't look very good in the first round at all. He's been off for a while because of the suspension, but Alexei looked fantastic. He looked like he lost some weight. He looked a little bit more shredded, and he looked like he had way more of a gas tank than he normally does. It was a little bit back and forth in the second, and the third was pretty close. Fabricio went to the ground, but I think Alexei was just too good on the ground to get caught in something that Verdum was going to throw on him. He almost caught him in that Kimura. I think he might have jacked his shoulder up a little bit, yanking it out there. But overall, it was a good fight. I thought Fabricio was going to get knocked out, though, in the first round.
I thought so, too. And it's funny because the first round was about what you would expect for heavyweights, and we were texting back and forth during the whole thing. But the second and third round, there are times you forget heavyweights can roll on a mat with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, watching them do that much groundwork was different for me. Like, it was, I don't know why, but it was just it was different. So I'm in the same boat as you. I thought Alexei obviously had the first round, but there was so much tension in the second and third round with Verdum because like both of them are such high level grapplers in a way.
Yeah.
That it definitely put me on my toes. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't know a lot about either one of the guys, so I was kind of going into this one a little bit blind with who is who, and really.
So you remember that Ezekiel choke I was telling you about, that one dude always does from like the bottom. Like you'll be in it, like you'll have him in full mount and he'll like grab you, look like he's giving you like a really tight hug, and he'll just choke you out. That's the guy, Alexei Oleinik.
Oh, okay.
And Fabricio Verdum is a world jiu-jitsu champion, and he was the first guy to ever defeat Fedor, other than the one disqualification he had. But he was the first guy to ever beat him, and he submitted Fedor, which was crazy. So it was weird though, because by the time Verdum started going for some submissions after the Kimura, he was already kind of tired, and he just didn't have the energy. His body looked different. He looked like he might not have had his diet completely down. We don't know how much of all this is due to the fact of not available things that normally are available due to the whole lockdown situation. But he just didn't look. His frame and his body didn't look like it was in the best shape compared to. But yeah, I agree with you with the on the ground. There was never a moment where you could fully relax with either of those guys.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Hell yeah. So.
Next.
Yeah, Alexei took that by split decision. So next, we had two fan favorites. This one was a bittersweet one to watch. Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
All right. Do you want to know why this one is my favorite?
Why?
Because there is pictures floating around out there on Twitter or something with them hugging it out, having a beer, and it's an after match brewskis with the bro. Literally, they're having a beer after the fight together. I think that they're both just so fucking cool, and there's no other way I can put that. I would love to have a beer with both of them. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
But yeah. Donald is definitely like, I'd say that if you're on outs with that guy, it's probably your fault.
Yeah,
he's that kind of a guy. Like, he's just a cool dude.
Yeah, so it's fun to watch him. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought that Donald won that fight.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one.
I thought he won because of the takedowns, and especially at the end, that Anthony Pettis, it was unintentional, but Anthony Pettis eye poked him bad.
Yeah.
Good.
It definitely was unintentional, but everything stacked up. I mean, each round was fairly close, so I can understand why it might slightly sway towards Pettis, but if 1,000 people had to judge that, I would say 900 of them would have given it to Cowboy. Yeah.
Well, like you said, it was so close that's why I thought the takedown secured Cowboy the rounds that he took him down in.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, that's a really good point.
That was kind of the only deciding factor. I mean, when it is if it is that close, you have to pick somebody via striking or give it a 10-10. But if the striking is so close that you're not really sure, you got to go off the takedowns. And that's again, the judges, they change so much from fight to fight. Like, you don't know what kind of thing you're going to get. But I would have thought, I was a little surprised when Donald got eye poked, and he like literally said, I got eye poked. And Anthony didn't really hesitate, and the ref said keep fighting, and they just he didn't lay off of him. Sometimes a guy will step back, and I thought Anthony would have done that for Cowboy, but he wanted to win, so I was like, oh, it was a little salty for me. I don't know why. It rubbed me the wrong way when it happened, because it clearly looked like he got eye poked. And then after the fight, Anthony was saying, I didn't eye poke you. He's like, watch the footage. And Rogan and Cormier were like, he's going to be really upset when we show the footage, and it shows him clearly eye poking. But yeah, it sucked to see Donald lose, but it would have sucked to see Pettis lose as well. So
yeah, it sucks that Cowboy lost 4 in a row. He's such a good competitor, and after losing 4 of these, I know it's starting to seem like he's not. Which he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he only fights murderers, though. Look at who he's fought.
Yeah, I know. But so, someone who's, actually follows a sport will dig into it and be like, all right, yeah, he lost 4, but it was against this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy.
Yeah.
But other people will look at it and be like, oh, he's 0-4 for recent fights? Like, the fuck?
Yeah, that's another thing that I wish, it comes with watching the sport, is that, a lot of people who don't follow it really well, they're used to other sports and the records. So if they see a guy lost 4 in a row, they're like, oh, this guy sucks. It's like, no, hold up. No, he doesn't suck.
You do not say these words about my Cowboy.
Yeah, it's like going against the championship all-star whatever the Patriots when they were winning the Super Bowls. You have to play them 5 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just like, oh, okay, this is hard to win a game. There's no gimmies here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, next up is first fight on the main card, which was Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. And this one didn't go. It went through how I thought it was going to go in round 1. After that, I don't know what the fuck was going on. I think Yorgan broke his foot.
Yeah, I could see that. He wasn't walking quite right. But continue.
Yeah, no, he threw he was throwing hard leg kicks, and Hardy's leg by the end of the first round was locked out. Like he couldn't move it.
Yeah,
it was almost completely stiffing on him. And I thought a couple more of those, and he would have buckled them. And I didn't see. I heard that I saw him check the kick, but I didn't see how bad it hit. And he just caught it on like the instep or like the bridge of the foot. And he actually like lifted his leg afterwards and was like, oh, like, so he definitely hurt his foot, but he barely threw any punches after he got that leg checked.
You know what? From there on, it was a super weird fight and not fun to watch. Like, no. I don't know. I already don't like Greg Hardy to begin with. Yorgan De Castro, I don't know this guy. He had one fight against Ben Rothwell, I want to say. Maybe that's right.
He fought somebody and he tuned him up. That was the dude. He goes in there like a buzzsaw.
Yeah. So it was just really like, I don't know. This was not a fight I was expecting.
No.
I was hoping there would be a little bit more to it.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the first round delivered. I thought that it was a good first round. It showed some chaos and Yorgan, wading forward like he does, and Greg Hardy showing some improvements on his skills. But I think it's a weird fight again, where like we can't really fully judge it because Yorgan didn't do anything after he hurt his foot. He was kind of just standing there and letting Greg like slowly work him down, and Greg wasn't willing to commit on anything too crazy because Yorgan's a dangerous guy. But I want to say that I don't even think Yorgan, halfway through the second round to the end of the fight, I don't think Yorgan threw 15 punches.
Yeah, you know what? I think I heard Rogan say this, and I'm going to repeat the same goddamn thing. Yorgan lost the match. Greg Hardy didn't win the match. Yorgan lost it because he stopped. Whether or not that's because of his foot being broken or if there was something else into play, maybe he was just fucking out of shape. Like, his gas tank just completely got out of it.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was a cardio issue. I think something was just, like, he might have just had a really good poker face for his foot being really messed up. And it might not have looked like it was that bad, but Cormier I heard him mention it as well when he said Yorgan doesn't have anyone to blame for this loss but himself because he's not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he was letting Greg just get ahead on the scorecards and wasn't even trying to throw haymakers or go for broke or nothing. So it was really weird. And right after the fight was over, they, he pointed to his foot and was like, "I fucked my foot up."
I'll be curious to see if it's actually broken or not.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been a weird thing where it wasn't working right for him. But
yeah, that's true.
All right, on to the next one. Oh boy, Calvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stephens.
So because you and I are not watching the fights together at the moment, I actually bought myself beer for this event.
Oh boy.
So I literally went to go get a beer, came back, and Jeremy Stephens was just in a bloody mess by himself. And I was just like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't go get a beer during a Jeremy Stephens or Calvin Kattar fight, bro. You should know that. You got to go in between rounds. And even then you're risking it. So this was a good fight. Jeremy came in 4.5 pounds overweight, which was alarming.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, especially for Jeremy.
Especially for size. What are they? 135? 150.
It was 150. Well, it was 145, but it was 150 catch weight. But the thing that's crazy about it is, we don't know if it, again, was because he didn't have facilities he normally does because of the COVID thing. I think they were saying he didn't have access to a sauna, which if you're a wrestler or cut weight like a wrestler does, saunas are a big part of that. So, it was unfortunate that it happened. And I thought both guys were doing very well in the first round. I thought Jeremy wasn't doing bad, but then Calvin caught him with an elbow coming in and dropped him. And then the follow-up elbow split his fucking forehead open. Like he got hit with it, literally the size of an axe. Yeah. Like the blade of an axe is how big the slash was on his. You could see his skull. I mean, it was bad. I didn't think it was that bad when he was bleeding. I thought it might have been a little cut. But then when they wiped it off, I was like, whoa, okay. Put his brain back in, please. Yeah, he looked like he was hurt bad too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
it was a nice fight to watch. I'm still pissed off I got to miss the end. Maybe I'm gonna go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, you should.
Because honestly, it was fairly back and forth for a while too. But like I literally disappeared, came back, and there it was over, and Stevens was destroyed.
Yeah.
So this is one that I regret not rewatching. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you know what I want them to start doing? I want them to start, and they might do it. I just might miss it, but I want them to start posting even if the fight ends in the 4th round by stoppage, I want them to post the scorecards numbers up until that point.
That would be interesting.
So that everyone has an idea of like how the judges are scoring a fight when it goes in.
That'd be really interesting. It would also bring out a lot of tension, I feel like.
Good. It needs to get fixed. So
it does.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see like if he was behind or if he was ahead, because otherwise you got to look that shit up yourself. But anyway, moving on.
So this next fight I've seen 4 times, and that's still less time than it took for me to watch half of the Stevens Qatar match.
Yeah. This one made me a little nervous.
Made DC a little nervous too.
It made everybody nervous because there's only a couple people in that arena, and Francis is one of them. Okay, and he's bigger than everybody else, and he hits harder than everybody else. So this fight is again a typical Francis Ngannou victory, right? It gets a little bit out of control and flailing, and as soon as Ngannou lands, it is fucking done. Over with. That's all she wrote. Good night, Irene. Bye-bye. Like, This dude has the touch of death. I don't know what the fuck he did, but something happened to his body where he just has that magical ability to just shut your lights out. I mean, he didn't start training doing this shit until he was in his late 20s.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Dude, his past 4 matches have all been so quick that if you combined all of them, they would not have made it out of the first round.
Yeah.
His past 4 matches have lasted that long.
He's so scary, dude. So scary because even guys with good chins, like Rosenstruck went 5 rounds with Alistair Overeem.
Yeah.
Francis needed 20 seconds.
20?
He really only needed 8 seconds. Or 10, because the first punch put him to sleep. Those other punches after that, I mean, if you do that outside of the octagon, you go to prison.
Yeah.
You go to if somebody catches that on camera, you get locked up. You get locked up. This is not like it was mutual combat. No, you're bouncing this dude's head off of.
Dude, and
that's so bad.
The punch that actually caught Rosenstruck was like the 4th punch. He missed like the first 3 or 4. And if you go back and watch it, those had more power behind them. Like the one he finally clocked him with was
it was clean. It was clean though. Yeah, I agree. Like they were definitely like he was winging them.
My point being is that if he actually hit him with like the first 3 or 4, whatever one hit first, he might have actually lost his head.
Oh yeah, it might have broke his fucking neck.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
Yeah, you're talking. I mean, the guy is just freakish, and Rogan said it best. He's like what he does is he forces you into a firefight, but you're bringing a fucking handgun and he's got a missile launcher. You just can't. Yeah, you can't because. The thing is that, he hasn't really been like everyone can get caught, right? Francis can get caught. Yeah. But if you're just going to play Rock'em Sock'em and he can force you into playing Rock'em Sock'em, you could land, you might rock him with a punch, but then you got to finish him. All he needs to do is touch you.
Yeah, it's scary. It's fucking scary.
Yeah, it's like you're playing Russian roulette. You have one bullet in your 6-round 6-shooter, but he's got 5.
Yeah.
And all he's got to do is just pull the, you know what I mean? He's only got one miss in there. Like it's not even fucking fair. If you're a striker and you're going against Francis, it's scary. It's scary.
Dude,
you better be a wrestler. You better be really good.
I was gonna say you better come up with a plan B.
Yeah.
You better come up with a strong plan B. That guy must be.
No one asked for Francis.
No one.
Rosenstruck did.
He did. Lasted 20 seconds.
Oh man, scary. Okay, so next on to Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Did not like the ending of this fight.
See, I actually disagree with you on this one.
Okay, you give me your reasons, I'll give you mine.
Oh, I see how this is going to go. I'm going to tell you, and you're going to tell me why I'm wrong.
No. I already have my reasons. I just want to give you a chance to talk first.
So, I see what his point was, that he is working towards getting up. He can't always constantly defend his head as he is literally pushing himself up off the mat to stand up. So yes, there will be head strikes. But if you go back and you rewatch it, every strike lands. Every single strike for like a solid 5 to 6 seconds. He cannot like hide his head anywhere. They're all like super duper powerful. We keep talking about, you have to protect the I almost said the players, the fighters to a certain degree. How long do we let someone point blank get punched in the face before we decide it's not okay to, or it's okay to call the match? I think it was actually fair. I think him getting up was a little bit delayed in the whole process, and I think the ref decided that he was going to stop the match before he even started getting up.
I agree with. I agree with.
So I think that him jumping in was already in motion as Cruz was standing. So I don't think like that was misconstrued. I just think he took too many punches to the face. Like, sorry, you're up.
No, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't really disagree with anything that you said. I think that, the fighter's safety is paramount.
Yeah.
That's number one. The thing is with the punches is that it's got to be the referee's discretion 100%. So the referee made the choice, but all punches are not made equal. He was throwing very hard punches, but to Dominic's credit, he did try. He was on upward motion, which usually you don't see fights stop when somebody is going up.
That's true.
That never happens. And one of the big factors in this, which is always a factor, whether people agree with it or not, is that there was 2 seconds left in the round.
Okay.
So, and the referee, before the madness happened, he knew there was 10 seconds left because we heard the clap of the 10 seconds, right? As a referee, you're supposed to know what is going on, right? So if you know there's 10 seconds left, and you already let him take all those punches, and now he's not out, and he's trying to get back up. I think especially when it's a title fight, knowing what's on the line, it's not like Dominic, like everyone say, oh, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter. But I will say that I think that referees and even fighters are more inclined to maybe be a little more liberal when it comes to title fights. Because it's not just another fight. This might be this guy's only opportunity to ever do this. So give him every chance you possibly can to make his dream come true, type of thing. Now, obviously, you don't want to see him die in there, but the fight was officially stopped at 4 minutes and 58 seconds of the second round.
So I think this is one of the few instances that you and I completely disagree with. And it's not that I don't see your point, and I respect your point. I wholly get it, but I want to flip it upside down real quick, right?
Okay.
So think about it from Henry Cejudo's point of view, right?
Uh-huh.
So say he's putting in enough damage, match-ending damage, but the ref doesn't call it, and he looks at the guy afterwards. This is all fictional, obviously, and say, like, why didn't you call that? That clearly should have been called. And he goes, well, there's only 2 seconds left. I know it should have been called, but there was only 2 seconds left.
But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because
It matters.
No, it doesn't, and I'll tell you why. Because if a guy is like, say, how many times have we watched a fight and been like, "Oh my god, it's over," and the ref doesn't stop it? Does the guy get up then and be like, "Hey, why didn't you stop that?" and get into an argument with the referee in the middle of the round?
No. And I wouldn't expect anyone to actually do that. It's all hypothetical. My whole point being is that like you can't play it towards one fighter or the other in the middle of a match. That's why I don't like having time being a factor. But if you play it towards a defensive fighter, someone who is trying to get up and rebound, well, that's not necessarily fair to the aggressor. If they are truly putting in match-ending damage, it's not fair to them to not call it because there's only a couple seconds left. That's my point of view.
I see what you're saying, and I get that point, but we have seen before where if you get knocked down and a guy comes in to follow up, like we've seen fights like that before, right? Guy gets dropped.
Yeah.
With 1 second left. Guy goes in to finish and the bell rings. It's like, well, if I had 2 more seconds, I could have finished you. It's like, but you didn't. You didn't have 2 more seconds.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
It does.
So you know what I'm saying? And I think that in the sport, part of the sport is that there's only 5 minutes per round, right? It is up to your advantage or disadvantage to use that 5 minutes correctly. You see guys do that thing where they sprint at the end of the last 10 seconds. They go for something crazy because they know if they fuck up and they land in a bad position, they only have to survive for 10 seconds.
That's true.
So, I think that for good or for bad, I think that something like that I think that most referees do take it into account. I think that it should have been taken into account here, especially granted that, now I'm not saying if Dominic was just flattened out getting hit, then that's fine. If he was out cold, then he's out cold. But, I can sit behind the TV and say, I saw he wasn't out cold. I'm not the referee. I'm not in there. I don't have to make the decision in 2 seconds. So, this is hindsight's 2020 kind of thing. But especially like given the circumstances of Dominic's been off for 4 years, all these things leading up, I just felt that he deserved the 2 seconds. He deserved to see if he could survive the 2 seconds because you can be saved by the bell in the sport. That is part of the sport,
That is very true. You can be saved by the bell. At the end of the day, this is one of those weird circumstances where you and I see your point, and I don't think it's wrong. I think you see my point. I don't think you think it's wholly wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong. We just have a difference of opinion here. I think.
This is one of those agree to disagree kind of things, and I can see how in this particular one, it was probably called like a hair too early. He was doing forward motion. I don't think he was protecting himself intelligently. So it's up to the ref.
Yeah,
I'm not as wholly disappointed as everyone else. I told my brother my point of view, and he got like straight up. He was like mad at me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like on the last note there. Remember when Alistair Overeem fought Rosenstruck and he was winning 4.5 rounds, and then he got caught, and Rosenstruck turned around and walked away, and Alistair stood up. Yeah. And they called the fight after Alistair stood up.
Yeah, see, it's not quite as bad of a version of that.
No, it's not. It's not. That one was way more egregious. But it's kind of in the same, like if that was first base, that one might be left field or right field, but it's the same ballpark. Yeah. But that's okay, so I think we talked about enough on that. We're almost coming up on 30 minutes here, so let's make this last one.
Dude, we didn't even talk about Henry retiring.
I know. Oh yeah, I don't think he retired. I don't think he's retiring. He's been going on all this shit about trying to become the best, martial artist of all time and all this stuff. I think that he is not getting paid the money that he wants. So he's doing this as a power move to basically be like, you want me to come back, you pay me more. The only problem is that he's such a bad actor that it doesn't come across as genuine. And I think he thinks that he's way more of a draw than he is because he gets wrapped up in his corniness.
See, I believe him. I think he's done.
He's not going to fight. He won't fight unless I believe he'll take some time off.
Yeah.
But I think that if the UFC said, "Hey, we'll double your salary, or we'll triple your salary," I think he'll come back.
Yeah. See, I think I'm kind of in the same thing. I wasn't thinking money wise, but I'm thinking, yeah, he's probably quote unquote retired the same way McGregor was. And he'll unretire in 2 years, which will piss me the fuck off.
Yeah.
For reasons that you and I have talked about in a previous podcast, so I won't get into it. All right, let's get into the last fight because you're right. We're running long here.
Okay, so last up we got Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson.
Dude.
And this is why I said I hate when guys who are lined up for a title shot take fights.
Yeah.
Because now the fucking universe has denied us once again Ferguson versus fucking Khabib.
Honestly, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
And I don't give a shit if Justin beat Tony. You know why? Because MMA math doesn't make fucking sense. I still would wish that Tony Ferguson fought Khabib. And now Tony just took a shitload of damage in that fight.
A shit.
Does he have the hardest chin in that division?
He might. Dude, Justin was like throwing like fist after fist after fist to the point where his own corner told him to calm down.
Yeah, in a fight. They said, well, they told him to take some off your punches so he didn't get tired out, but it wasn't like he was swinging and missing. No, he was landing clean, flush shots, and Tony was just like, I'm good. Shut up. But then, Tony was just outgunned in that, I think.
Yeah, he really was. It was a really fun match from like the beginning. Like, it was kind of reverse of what you were expecting, right? Like, Justin just never slowed down. Like, yeah. I know if Tony wasn't getting banged up, he wouldn't have slowed down either. But because he was getting tuned up so much, like his rhythm was off, his like body was off. So like it was like reverse of what everyone was kind of expecting. I feel like Justin just never stopped coming.
Yeah,
it was fucking beautiful. Sorry.
He never stopped throwing. I mean, Tony was pressing the action, but I think Justin slowed him down a lot with those leg kicks.
Yeah,
and the other thing too is that we didn't see any groundwork from anything. We didn't see Tony on the ground at all, which I thought for sure we would have saw him try to take Justin down at least once or twice. But normally we see guys start to wilt against Tony in the second or third round. But I think that just from how good Justin's gas tank was and how hard he was hitting Tony, he couldn't get off on what he was getting off on. And DC actually alluded or pointed out that he was getting hit so often that even when he would slip a punch, he would pause and almost wait for Justin to hit him because he was so expecting to get hit.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, and then in the fifth round when Tony got hit with that jab and he started shaking his head out and wobbling, I mean, that doesn't look good. I thought that was a good stoppage. He wasn't going to win a decision. He tried the Imanari roll to go for a leg lock, and he just didn't have the energy the legs were gone at that point. So better safe than sorry in that decision. It's not like it was early in the fight and you got to give him a chance. I mean, the story had already been written up to that point.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. Unless he pulled a miracle out of his ass, there was nothing that he was going to do to stop that match, and it was clearly in Justin's favor.
Yeah,
and he was half dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you. Good stoppage all around.
Yeah. It sucks that fight had to take place in between, because I would have liked to have seen both those guys just fight Khabib anyway. But now we're going to see Justin versus Khabib, which, I mean, Jesus Christ, after handling Tony like that, who knows? But again, we didn't see any grappling.
Yeah,
totally different fight.
It's going to be a completely different fight. Completely different.
Yeah, because Tony, that was the scary thing with Khabib on going against Tony, was that Tony can basically win from the bottom, like from striking. He's won fights and rounds from the bottom, from hitting you so often from his back. So it's just a weird change in the history now that fight's not going to happen soon.
Dude, it's been so long. We should be hearing about Tony versus Khabib 2. You know what I mean?
We should be hearing about the fucking rubber match.
Yeah. All right. So, I think that about wraps us up, right?
Yeah, we're about 35 minutes in. This is a fucking long podcast.
You know what? We had a lot to talk about. UFC is finally back.
It's back.
Back, baby.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, why don't you guys like and subscribe? Don't forget to leave a comment down below on what you thought of UFC 249. Yell at us about all the mistakes that we made or cheer us on about all the things that we are correct with. Get into Flame Wars in the comments. Go fucking ballistic. Don't forget to go to brodownpro.com to get all your badass bro down gear. And we will catch you guys next time.
Very well done.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day.